In 1629, the Buddhist monk Xuanzang embarked on a 16-year journey, travelling 10,000 miles west from China to India along the Silk Road. The scriptures that he was studying in China had been translated, and this sometimes led to confusion and even texts contradicting each other. Not wanting to rely on these secondary sources, he set forth to obtain the true scriptures, and in turn deepen his understanding on the Buddha's teachings. His journey to the west led to over 657 Sanskrit texts being brought over to China, not only thoroughly advancing the understanding of Buddhism in China, but providing a wealth of texts used by many historians and archaeologists for millennium to come. The Tang Emperor Taizong described Xuanzang as the jewel of the empire, and him, along with his pilgrimage, inspired many legends. By the 16th century, these legends had culminated into a classic novel, Journey to the West, and this story itself rose the legend to even greater heights, mythologizing Xuanzang's journey to the West, being renamed to Tang Sensang. He has provided 3 protectors along his journey to the West: Sha Wujing, Zhu Wuneng, a lazy pig, and Sun Wukong, a magical monkey, who all help in order to atone for their sins. Through their journey, they had to overcome 81 tribulations needed for Xuanzang to achieve Buddhahood. And fast forward to this year, we arrive at a massively popular game, Black Myth Wukong, a game acting as a sequel to Journey to the West. Sun Wukong, like Transcendent, ascended to Buddhahood after overcoming the Journey to the West challenges, with life in the Celestial Court, the realm of the gods, being his reward. But instead, Wukong chose a peaceful life up in the mountains, and so the Celestial Court began to distrust him. Led by Erlang Shen, they sent an army to Wukong, ultimately defeated him, sealing him in stone. A few centuries later, we, the Destined One, learn about the imprisonment of Wukong, and are tasked by the old monkey to go forth and find 6 relics, fragments of power that Wukong managed to splinter before his fate was sealed. And through this journey, we begin to unravel this mysterious story and quite peculiar narrative, leading to much speculation. It feels like it's assumed that we already understand the precursor of the Journey to the West. But Black Myth Wukong provides a much darker and mysterious twist to this infamous journey, with even the most knowledgeable on Chinese mythology needing to discover the intricate details etched into the game's environment. An iceberg chart is a way to display these facts and theories in a progressive format, with more well-known topics and Easter eggs appearing at the top of the iceberg, and the more peculiar and even dubious theories appearing the deeper you venture down this iceberg. In this video, we'll be exploring the Black Myth Wukong iceberg, which will be quite a unique journey, as this trek might lead us down some wrong trails. Like Xuanzang before us, the translations of the Chinese mythology we have can be confusing, with the understanding of texts like Journey to the West being incredibly in-depth, and stuff that has been very difficult for me to understand. So it's especially important in this video that you check the comments for clarifications and corrections, because I will certainly get stuff wrong. But hopefully, after our own 10,000 mile journey along the Silk Road, we'll obtain the truth behind the mysteries of Black Myth Wukong. So let's begin our journey and venture forth into the Black Myth Wukong iceberg. And a great starting step is to understand the game's title. When gameplay for Black Myth Wukong was first released in the middle of 2020, game producer Feng Ji invited IGN for a visit to their game studio, Game Science, where he discussed the formation of the game's name. The tale of the journey to the West is not alien to global audiences, with many in Western countries being aware of Sun Wukong through Dragon Ball. The most famous character of this series would have to be Goku, one who strives to keep the Earth and the universe safe. Goku's full name is Son Goku, being the Japanese name of Sun Wukong. Translating to Monkey King in English, Fen wanted to give the Monkey King's name back to him. Everyone refers to him as Goku, but he wanted to let the world know his name is Wukong. So that's why Wukong is in the game's title, but it's not the only message we can find here. Prefixed with Black Myth, it hints that there is going to be a bigger myth universe. Still Nihil looked for trademarks in Tianyancha and discovered the Game Science has further registered other game titles. Black Myth Zhongjia, an ancient military general who was bestowed a list that empowers him to invest in the God of Heavens in the novel Investiture of the Gods. Black Myth Xiao Qian, which could be for Nia Xiao Qian, a lead of one of the short stories in Strange Tales from a Chinese studio. Black Myth Zhongkoi, a vanquisher of ghosts and evil beings. Black Myth in Search of the Supernatural, a compilation of stories about Chinese gods and other supernatural forms. Another title is Black Myth, Mountains and Seas, which could be referencing the classic of Mountains and Seas, which details a geographic view of ancient China, moulded with mythical creatures and other elements. And this could also be a part of the trademark Black Myth Vast Plains, which Still Nihil notes is part of the name of several chapters of the classic Mountains and Seas. So it seems like Game Science are planning on delving into more Chinese mythology, with Feng himself stating that Wukong is just beginning to build up a Chinese Black Myth universe, similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In an interview with China Central Television, Feng Zhi discussed that Game Science are thinking that Black Myth could contain a variety of Chinese myths and legends, so they registered many names in advance at the time of making the game. But this is not just the retelling and extending of Chinese myths. These are Black Myths. It's pretty much a direct translation from Mandarin, with Cantonese biker stating that it could more accurately mean a dark interpretation of the original idea, or somewhat twisted. Wukong's story from the Journey to the West has already had a dark reinterpretation before. Written by Jing Hezai in 2000 in The Tales of Wukong, a fan fiction that was a trailblazer for internet novels in China, The Tales of Wukong is a much less binary story, while The Journey to the West brought enlightenment. But The Tales of Wukong provides a cloud of deceit and murder, questioning the god's true intentions, with Wukong wrestling internally with his morals and guilt. In my world, there are only demons and immortals. There are no humans, and none of the frivolities of humanity, but there are impossible, fantastic things. Yet had I truly lived there, I would be lonely still, for I am human. This led to a film adaptation in 2017, and games being inspired by its narrative. Tencent Games developed an MMORPG called Asura, which also has a darker take on the Journey to the West. In this game, you begin your journey on the Flower Fruit Mountain, where the fabled Sun Wukong once lived. Bearing his mark on our body, you are driven by a sense of destiny to determine the link between the mark's appearance and the fate of the world. This game was popular in China, but due to an influx of monetization, it kind of ran itself into a ground of frustration, with many of the development team leaving, creating their own studio. These peoples included the developer, Feng Zhi, and game designer Xiang Bakun, who ended up creating Game Science Studio, a place to unleash their true creative vision. And many in the community view Asura as being the prequel, or precursor to Black Myth Wukong, the culmination of centuries of adaptations, morphed and displayed with the beauty of video games. And within this video game's beautiful landscape is subtly etched many minute references and meanings. Flowfire noticed a very minuscule reference during Wukong's second charge of focus points, with the sound of the staff charging being very similar to the theme song The Path to Heaven is Wide in the second season of the Journey to the West TV series. I spent so long listening to this, I'm now convinced that they are similar. However, it is very subtle. What a set of ears Flowfire has. And perhaps to show that this is the kind of level of detail that Game Science Studio provides, even in the smallest detail, CC Love Cheese points out some cultural nuance in the Destined One's actions. Throughout the Destined One's journey, they come across Keeper Shrines, places where they can fast travel and rest at, simply by offering incense. Burning incense in temples is a custom in China, which provides a link between humans and the spiritual world. And you'll notice when the Destined One pulls the light incense out of his hair, he puts it out by shaking it. Blowing out incense is considered an insult, akin to spitting, maintaining a clean space during these activities. CC Love Cheese also points out how the Destined One uses their left hand to light the incense stick, which she says in Chinese culture means respect. In the classical text Dao De Jing, it states, "A gentleman values the left when he lives, and the right when he uses troops. Weapons are ominous tools, not the tools of a gentleman. Good things are better on the left, bad things are better on the right." Even with yin and yang, yang, which is the representation of light, is represented by the left. Chinese ancients explained yin and yang by the movement and position of the sun. They found that the left-hand side would be where the sun rose, yang, while the right-hand side was where the sun sets, yin. So the using of the left hand when burning incense stems from the innate goodness that is retained by the left. CC Love Cheese also points out the number of incense sticks that the Destined One uses, being just one, is important. In the ancient Chinese divination, feng shui, the burning of a singular incense stick depicts one symbol of devotion to God and obedience to the Almighty, along with their ancestors, from one's heart and soul. More broadly, burning one incense stick also means the breaking free of all taboos while achieving mental freedom, which is the plight that Xuanzang had to make, overcoming his inner demons on his journey, which in the Journey to the West and Black Myth are transformed into actual demons that are needed to be overcome. And now let's try and control our destiny ourselves and venture into Mount Huaguo, further into our journey. And at the start of this journey is where the story is described to the Destined One, through the narrative explained by the Old Monkey. The Old Monkey charges the Destined One and others to find the 6 relics, returning them to Mount Huaguo in the hopes that Wukong may rise again. And this isn't the only time we encounter this Old Monkey. Fast forward to the 6th chapter, when we enter the Birthstone, the Old Monkey is strangely waiting for us, telling us that we are within Wukong's memories. There's something special with this monkey, who mysteriously only goes by Old Monkey. Who really is he? International Dot 480 believes that the Old Monkey is actually Wukong himself. Wukong split himself into 6 artifacts, with 5 of them being found by the Destined One. There's one more piece of Wukong that was missing. The 6th piece, his mind. This is why the Old Monkey is in the Birthstone, and why he's tasking others not to revive him, but to assume his mantle, to take the title of Monkey King, and make sure their journey crafts them to be better than he was. It is an interesting theory. Wukong's companion Bajie has a similar thought.
Oh, I see now. It was you. I knew it from the beginning. You were the mind of Wukong all along. That's why you led us here. Not me. It's him.
So the Old Monkey seems to refute that he is Wukong's mind, alluding that the Destined One has in some way taken the mantle of Wukong, along with his mind. But maybe this is what Wukong gave away. Hayvan89YKT has a slightly different theory, and while the Old Monkey is in fact Wukong, he is the true Buddha Wukong. When he reached enlightenment after his journey, he left his body and wanted to mend the world, so he sets about to find a new Monkey King. The Old Monkey we encounter in the Birthstone is adorned with a circular ribbon. This could be symbolised in the Tian Ren, a divine being adorned with flowing ribbons. More commonly found in Japanese Buddhism, it seems to have originated from Chinese Buddhism, which in turn could come from Hinduism, Apsara. Often representing divinity and perfection, what's more notable is one of its meanings in Mandarin. Tian Ren could mean celestial being, while another meaning is heavenly messenger, emissary of the emperor. And during one of the endings in Black Myth Wukong, the Old Monkey does something that can be seen as quite peculiar, placing a headband onto the Destined One. This golden circlet was originally placed on Wukong during the Journey to the West, when him and his party were set upon by a band of 6 thieves. Soon Wukong, being protective and fueled with retribution, kills the 6 thieves, demonstrating the immense power and rage he has within. Wanting to bring this power under their control, the Celestial Court tricked Wukong into wearing the circlet, under the ruse that it will grant him the ability to recite scripture. This headband then was able to bring Wukong under control through the use of its painful deployment. So the placing of the golden headband onto the Destined One's head condemns them to submit to the Celestial Court, like the Wukong before. So was this the Old Monkey's plan? Did they intend to keep the Destined One as a puppet for the Celestial Court? Those who do not fully complete Black Myth Wukong receive the ending with the crown, with them perhaps not being ready or worthy to be fully released as Wukong. But if the game is fully completed, and all knowledge and experience of Wukong has been obtained, then the Destined One refuses to receive the golden headband. So maybe this Old Monkey is just a vessel, one that will not interfere with one's destiny, content with seeing them changed to the Celestial Court, or freed by the understandings and learnings of Wukong. Maybe just being patient to find the perfect Destined One, to truly be free. Before the Old Monkey places the headband upon the Destined One, he does sigh. And perhaps this hints that he isn't entirely happy with how destiny has played out. CC Tokto FX warms to the theory that the Old Monkey is an unnamed player of high importance in the Journey to the West, being a previous incarnation of Tan Zhang Zhang. The old man acts as a catalyst of change for many of the Destined Ones, like how Tan Zhang Zhang is the catalyst of his followers, such as Wukong. Tan Zhang Zhang is a prominent character in Journey to the West, so it seems strange that he wouldn't make an appearance in Black Myth Wukong. Maybe further DLC will unpack the Old Monkey further, or introduce Tan Zhang Zhang, maybe as someone to aid the Destined One. One other that helps the Destined One is located at the Crouching Tiger Temple, offering healing, and in the English version, their accent is pretty funny.
I reckon I got an idea why you've come here, my friend.
As the game progresses, it's discovered that in the cellar of the Crouching Tiger Temple, the Alguai King, Yellow Wind Sage, is found harbouring the head of this monk. Upon reuniting themselves with their heads, the monk introduces themselves.
I am Bodhisattva Lingji of New Mount Sumeru.
Bodhisattva Lingji's accent has changed from Scottish to English. It's pretty jarring, so surely it must mean something. Capable.3029 notes that the headless monk sings folk songs that are from the far north of the Shaanxi province, which has a very strong accent, much like how the north of Scotland would have a strong accent compared to English. But as for the accent change, many believe that this is because of real life events, and how the monk head is actually being held in the British Museum, thus gaining its accent. Which does kind of make sense, given the British Museum's track record of stolen artefacts. Unfortunately, in the 19th and 20th century, many Chinese artefacts would disappear from their home. According to the Chinese Society of Cultural Relics, since the First Opium War began in 1840, over 10 million cultural relics have been lost. This was either legally lost through gifting or selling to private investors or foreign entities, but they were also smuggled and stolen by tomb raiders, or even looted as a spoil for war. One of the most breathtaking displays of Chinese artistry is the Longmen Grottos, caves containing tens of thousands of statues, but with a lot of artistry leads to some destruction, with entire statues being taken, while other statues have just lost their heads. Many attempts have been made to find the missing pieces of this wonderful art, but it's a complex process, and it seems that many believe that the British Museum held some of the Buddha heads. And this could be what game science is suggesting with Lingji's accent. Recently, China has been researching heavily on trying to reclaim these lost artefacts, and have retrieved over 150,000 artefacts since 1949, with many museums donating artefacts back to their rightful home. But this is still only a slim portion of the estimated 10 million. One example of conflict with Chinese ownership that the British Museum openly acknowledges is the beautiful hand scroll admonitions of the instructress to the court ladies, which the British Museum purchased from Captain Clarence Johnson. Johnson was sent to Beijing in 1900 with the British Indian Army during the Boxer Rebellion, and it's not sure exactly how he obtained the scroll, which was only known to have been in the Forbidden City a century before. It's unsure what measures were used to acquire some artefacts which are in the British collection, and they promise that they are actively engaged in re-examining the acquisition history in close dialogue with partners from around the world. But in reality, the likelihood of this being a poignant jab at the British Museum doesn't sound watertight. As Owenside points out, Bodhisattva Lingji is just a character in the Journey to the West, and doesn't directly relate to any statues in China, as it's a fictional character. But many people online do note the similarities in the depiction of Bodhisattva Lingji to a certain head in the British Museum. This is the head of Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, which seems to have been donated to the British Museum by Hong Kong businessman Sir Joseph Houghton in 2022, after his death. So it doesn't seem like the British Museum stole this head specifically. And this head being donated in 2022 seems like it would be getting too late in development to target a reference to that head specifically. If we were trying to find a Bodhisattva to fit into the British Museum stealing mould, there is an iron one that was retrieved directly from China in 1922 that not too much is known from. So there is a possibility that this was taken illegitimately, but unfortunately it's incredibly hard to find where exactly they came from, along with why they were obtained. I'm kind of on the fence of this being a direct reference to the British Museum. What do you guys think? The accent change does sound compelling, but in the original version, the Northern Chinese dialect also morphs to Mandarin once the head has been obtained. And I think the decapitation of Lingji is actually more complex than perhaps a simple British Museum Easter egg, although both could be true. Nasby Trading 5123 examined the in-game texts and found that Lingji is perhaps not as nice as first seen, and is actually evil. When Lingji is first restored, he explains why he was beheaded.
After the great sage's passing, his sixth senses was scattered across the mortal realm. This thieving rat chanced upon one of them, yet hindered by his meager might, he could not absorb its power. Thus he schemed with wicked intent. A victim of his deceit, I had my head taken by him.
Lingji is referring to the Yellow Wind Sage, who according to Lingji's journal, claimed that those who bring disaster upon others will have disaster brought upon themselves. so it seems that both believe that the other is the evil one. Could both of them be true? Or is one deceiving the destined one? Another boss, armoured strong, with horns that rise, could help solve this mystery. The Fuban. Located on the back of this beetle is a strangely similar looking head, the head of Linji. Fuban's journal states that the Kingdom of Flowing Stand was gifted by Buddha, the drum of the setting sun, granting peace to the common folk. But as years passed, the people's reverence for Buddha grew so much that it overshadowed their secular ruler. Unhappy, the king decreed the razing of temples, the banishment of monks, and even changed the kingdom's name. But here emerged a mighty beetle, one that ravaged the humble villages, and leaving untold dead in its wake. At this time, the Yellow Wind Sage was passing by, and could not bear to witness woe and injustice, setting forth to slay the wicked insect. But this just led the Kingdom of Flowing Sands to change their admiration towards another secular entity, the Yellow Wind Sage, with his journal stating how he sat in the place of honour. Lingji's journal states that later, the kingdom will all turn to rats. But the Yellow Wind Sage had noticed that the Fuban did have Lingji's head on its back, identical. Linji, a bodhisattva, was on the path to Buddhahood, and it seems that he was displeased by the kingdom's acts against the Buddha, summoning the beetle to punish the desert nation. And once the entire kingdom was turned to rats, the Yellow Wind Sage, distraught, told the kingdom that he brought the curse upon them and left. As stated, his revenge was to behead Linji, disaster being brought upon him. It seems that this betrayal by Linji broke the Yellow Wind Sage, destroying the nation that saw him as a hero, condemning him to a frenzy of revenge. A fitting dark twist to the Journey to the West story, and it seems pretty clear that Lingji is actually the true antagonist, not caring for the desert nation anywhere as near as the Yellow Wind Sage, who, as a stranger, helped the kingdom from Lingji's first attack. And this kind of hidden narrative leads us to the last layer of the iceberg, the Celestial Court. And in this celestial plot, we can unveil even more complex stories, but perhaps not as sinister from our point of view. One that enforces the decree of the Celestial Court, Erlang Shen, can be seen defeating Wukong at the start of the game. In the Journey to the West, he uses his third eye to see Sun Wukong's true form, anticipating his movements. He represents the sky and authority, compared to the lowly beginnings of the stone monkey Sun Wukong. He doesn't have the best relationship with the Celestial Court, but in the Journey to the West, he is still their ever-loyal enforcer. But come Black Myth, he seems to act a bit differently. When defeated, it seems that he is the true possessor of the sixth relic of Wukong, and he reveals more about the Destined One's journey.
My brothers tested you at my behest. All for this day. And only now do I understand that fight. No prestige can shackle him. No band can keep him caged. A mortal death for an unbound mind and will. May you not fail him. I'm now at peace. Your journey, though, has just begun.
It seems that Erlang Shen and Wukong are some sort of friends, which begins to make sense if we glean info from the web novel, The Tales of Wukong. In this story, Erlang Shen's character change is no different to any others, with a much more complex narrative being born. He struggles with the rules and roles bound to him by the Celestial Court, and like Wukong, he has defied the Celestial Court. So his battles with Wukong were viewed much more like a rivalry, one filled with respect, due to the similar paths that each had trodden. Unlike Erlang, Wukong's continued courage to rebel against the Celestial Court is seen through a type of admiral jealousy. Erlang had made the opposite choice, and then submitted to the Celestial Court. And seeing Wukong going through this journey, is strongly theorised that not only he understands now what it is to truly be free, but he actually was the orchestrator behind the cultivation of the Destined One. Erlang's journey states that in skies high, his talents shine, like plum blooms pure and bright. His journey later details the story of Wukong's stone, which was found on Mount Huaguo by some celestial soldiers. Besides this stone, one soldier found something white. They picked it up and found it was a branch of plum blossoms, as white as jade, as pure as snow, blooming fragrantly. The celestial soldier wondered, how could there be plum blossoms on Mount Huaguo? The fellow said, this looks somewhat like. Before he could finish, a spearhead pierced through his chest, emitting a golden light that even dispersed the soul within his armour. 1900 Theatre Room rightly theorises that they were killed by Erlang Shen, as he didn't want anyone to know that he was affiliated with the stone monkey, Wukong. Erlang Shen, with the help of Maitreya, hid himself in a painting of Mount May, which Maitreya's journal entry stated that the Celestial Court will not be able to find him there. So he is definitely deceiving the Celestial Court, working in a plot against the gods with Wukong. But this is where 1900 Theatre Room's theory just begins. In the journey to the west, 6 brothers of Meishan team up with Erlang Shen to capture Sun Wukong while he was rampaging in heaven. They reside on Mount May, which is where Erlang Shen can be found hiding in the game. This kind of connection implies that the 6 brothers of Meishan could also be found in the game, helping Erlang Shen in his quest to find one worthy of being the Destined One. There are quite a few mentions of brothers throughout the game. In the journey to the west, the 6 brothers are very human-like, but in the game, they seem to take on a more animal form. Game science seem to have been inspired by another group from Meishan, the 7 Monsters of Meishan, from another novel, Investiture of the Gods. The first spy is the white-clad noble, who the Destined One fights in the bamboo graves.
Halt! No ill will I bear. I'm merely my brother's eyes and ears. The 3 bells. Have you seen them all?
These 3 bells are key to unlocking the fireproof mantle, which is a crucial item to use against the Black Bear Gwai. White-clad Noble's journal states that they are a serpent youth in white with furious gaze. One of the Meishan brothers is a white snake, Chang Hao. The second spy is the boar, the yellow-robed squire, who helps the Destined One enter the kingdom of Sahali.
What an excellent fight! The intensity! This is good. You and I should explore that realm together.
He is representation of the wild boar, Zichan. In the third chapter, the green-capped martialist, one in tattered robes and a bamboo-worn hat, reveals the true location of Maitreya.
Someone once saw a chubby boy jump from the cliff with a watermelon in his arms. He rushed to the edge of the cliff but saw no movement down there. Seemed like certain death. But suddenly, he heard the boy laughing from beneath, on and on.
In the fourth chapter, Venom Taoist helps the Destined One find the needle.
Find the needle on purple cloud mountain.
This is the Weaver's Needle, another powerful item. Venom Dao's counterpart is Wulong, the centipede. And in the 5th chapter, the Pale Axe Stalwart is yet another spy, but one that has become enamoured by the Bull King, failing to fulfill his duties as a spy, to his big brother, Erlang.
My king, he treated me well. To die for him, I would not regret it. But I've failed, brother. Failing his mission is what I regret. My king must have done something reckless for that dumb boy. The truth, I wager, lies beyond that door.
The Pale Axe Stalwart could be Jin Dashong, the Wild Bull. And these are all the spies that we have seen in the Destined One's journey, which counts to 5. But there are 7 monsters of Meishan, with 3 seemingly not having depictions. Out of the remaining monsters, we have a goat, a mountain dog, and one that catches the eye, Yuanhong, one depicted as a monkey. Well, maybe this old monkey is in fact one of the monstrous brothers of Meishan. It feels at this stage I'm pretty obsessed with this older monkey. There's no proof of this other than just speculation. These spies diligently remain for hundreds of years, awaiting one worthy of taking the mantle of Wukong, the Great Sage, where Erlang Shen can enact a part of their plan, starting your journey as the Monkey King. And this journey, Nizi Gal 5928 believes, is actually Wukong's full plan to yet again overthrow the Celestial Court. The Celestial Court has been doing horrible things. The Duskvale's journal suggests that they had been doing torturous experiments on their body. In the Great Sage's Broken Shell journal entry, we can glean Wukong's disdain for how the Celestial works. These tributes should go to those who need them more, and if we eat them, these people will have less to eat. The Blacksmith Ying Tiger journal entry also contains an interesting point. Wukong suggested to Ying Tiger to secretly destroy one of his armor sets, which Ying Tiger refused. Take it back, I won't play along with your act. But Wukong did manage to leave his armor behind, beside Ying Tiger's anvil, to be fetched for another day. Perhaps this day is with his rebirth, held by many people throughout the lands, preparing himself to be fully free, and able to rebel against the heavens, to prevent others from becoming like the Duskvale. Found high up in the Purple Cloud Mountain, the Destined One comes across an abomination of a boss, the Dust Veil, and as we've seen, their journal details the excruciating torture that they've had to go through. What did they do to deserve this kind of punishment? Well, many believe that the Dust Veil is an old friend of Wukong's, the first Dawnstar. The Scorpion Lord's journal mentions Sun Wukong, who summoned the Dawnstar to crow and kill the Scorpion Queen. And this is very similar to the Journey to the West, where one of the 28 constellations, a rooster, was brought down to subdue the Scorpion Demon after Sun Wukong and Bajie failed to do so. With a crow, the Scorpion Demon became limp and died right in front of him. When fighting the Dust Veil, we can see glimpses of a rooster-like creature with his pecking on the ground and its strange scratches, so there are hints that the Dust Veil is some sort of corrupted version of this Rooster Dawnstar. Before we reach the Dust Veil, statues of roosters line the stairs, and perhaps more conclusively, when defeated, the Dust Veil drops the double-combed rooster blood. Upon yon slope, the Dawnstar did stand, his guise unfurled, revealed as a rooster with crowns twain. So it's pretty much confirmed that the Dust Veil is actually the Dawnstar. The Crane Immortal's portrait explains a bit more what may have happened to the Dawnstar. The portrait explains a newly appointed Dawnstar who ponders about his predecessor. I wonder if my predecessor was promoted or demoted. Could you enlighten me, so I may know how to conduct myself in the future? The Crane Immortal smiled and said, he mingled too closer to the mortal realm, perhaps making some friends amongst the mountains and wilds. So it seems that the Dawnstar got into trouble due to their friendship with Wukong. In the Journey to the West, the Dawnstar was called upon to defeat the Thousand-Eyed Centipede. Well, at least, a part of them. Wukong struggled to defeat this monster until obtaining the Embroidery Needle, which was powered by the Eye of the Dawnstar. And this monster is resurrected as the 100-Eyed Taoist Master, come Black Myth Wukong, with his journal entry stating that the monkey left its needle behind. The Weaver Needle, a vessel forged not of iron or steel, nor of gold, but solely from the eyes of my son. This can be found, ironically, on the body of the Dust Veil, with the 100-Eyed Taoist seemingly performing the torture. And Cantame L believes that the immortal Crane is behind the 100-Eyed Taoist. In the 100-Eyed Demon's portrait, it details the Master bowing their head to the immortal Crane and reporting to them. And even the Supreme Inspector, the Jade Emperor's most loyal enforcer, submits to the immortal Crane's authority.
Stop! Spare his life!
So Cantame L and Lamen 9 believe that this is an indication that the immortal Crane is a person of high status. Taisheng Laotian is the High Taoist God, one of the three pure ones, the highest immortal. In Taoism, cranes themselves represent longevity. Red crown cranes, like the immortal crane, are called Crane of the Immortals, and can be found in many tombs, often as a symbol of nobility. However, Enlightened Emptiness believes that the immortal Crane is too directly involved with the Destined One to be someone as high-ranking as Taisheng Laotian. They themselves think that it's more likely that the immortal Crane is Najin Shan Wang, the immortal of the South Pole. What's more interesting is that in some New Year paintings, the South Pole immortal can be seen as the red-crowned crane. So whomever he is, the immortal Crane is definitely based from an ancient Chinese immortal. Game Science had to cut down the scope of their game, and given the massive success of it, it's highly likely that DLC will be released to further this story. It's definitely possible that this heavenly fight will occur in the later content. But for now, we have journeyed as far into the Iceberg as we can. Thank you for being a worthy companion on this journey with me. I hope, like Xuanzang, we have managed to decipher more of the truth behind the translated text of Black Myth, Wukong, but hopefully this journey is not the end, and we'll be able to continue our trek further in more videos to come.